Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion. Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. 3 wins in a row. We had a loss somewhere along. I don't remember it. If I don't remember it, it didn't happen. Stats are good so far, except HP, QZ, WZ, QBT4. And HP. What did I do? HP right there, right off the bat. Just kidding. Now, you might be saying, NL, why on earth? If your HP is low, you're going to put yourself on 1 Spirit Heart. Why would you throw Caution to the Wind? And I was worried. Why would you throw Caution to the Wind and go to the Curse Room? Well, if you want to know more about the way I live my life, you gotta do the required reading for the summer, okay? Too Fast, Too Furious, I live my life 1/4 of a mile at a time. I don't let the so-called establishment tell me, oh, you should be okay, we're good. I don't let this so-called establishment tell me, oh, don't take risks here, you know, do this, don't do that, can't you read the signs? You know, that classic rigmarole. So I'm gonna place Judgment down and then, hope that he blows up, which is exactly what happened, even though I shot bombs away from him. Got a lot of money out of that. That was an inspired play. Let's try this on for size. And it's, you know, that's rough. Let's try our 7-cent item. Stopwatch, interesting. And our second secret room can really only... Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. And I'm only bringing it up because it could be important. But our second secret room should be here. Oh. Not useful at all, by the way. So you know what we do? Swing for the fences. No money. All spiders? All spiders edition? Oops, all spiders? Come on now. I was laughing. I brought up required reading. You know, it's something we never had in our high school. It was, you know, you have to read these books over the summer. You don't want to know my opinion on that, because my opinion on that is like, oh no, I had to read 2 books over the summer, or just read the Spark Notes. I'm not condoning it, I'm just saying, I know you have options. Don't try to play the world's smallest violin. On my 3-month vacation, I have to read 2 or 3 pieces of highly acclaimed literature, some of which are about 75 pages long, you know? It's not, basically I'm getting it, it's not that bad. You know? Some adults do that in their free time, believe it or not. But either way, that wasn't where I was going with this. Where I'm going with this is that Kate and I were at a Korean grocery store tonight, and they had a back-to-school sale. In case you're wondering how long the backlog is, it's not even the middle of June yet. So, I like the idea. There's always, like, more innocent explanations for this. Like, oh, well, in this particular community, they have a lot of private school students who, you know, they get... half of June off or something like that. But for me, you know, because, you know, for public school in the rest of Canada, you go to school essentially like September through the end of June. It really just seems like you're trolling kids. You're like, hey, you're really excited to get out of school, huh? Well, guess what? We're already doing the back-to-school sales. Or alternatively, it could have just been a sale that kept, you know, they never changed their branding from the previous September. Or in that case, you're like, dude, I don't know, they might have not changed their branding from 10 Septembers ago. Then they're getting hosed, though, because like with inflation, you'd like to raise the price of, you know, a bag of new crop rice. You're going to be like, what's that? I don't know. You know how, like, whenever, like, a soda advertises itself... It's always like, clean, fresh taste. No hint of xanthan gum. You know, that's like what Fresh Crop is. Anytime I buy like a big bag of rice at a Korean grocery store, it's always like, new crop, best crop. And I'm like, dude, I am not a Monsanto representative, but I will take your word for it. You know, I leave the sourcing and the A&R sort of stuff to you. That's not my domain as the end consumer of the cheapest, you know, 10-kilogram bag of rice at the grocery store. That's more for, you know, I assume that you have like a discovery team, like a rice green light or something like that. Can figure that stuff out. You don't need me to be there. like I would know it regardless, but... Okay. Let's not leave quite yet, but we've gotten some big improvements here. I told you, you just live your life a quarter mile at a time. Then you're not going to have to worry about this, you know, so-called, oh, my HP's bad. Telling you, you slow this song down, it's the Are You Afraid of the Dark theme song. It is missing like one note in the right place, but it's close. Yo, Luckfoot is not a bad get from a crawl space. Probably not the best to get, but it's got to be pretty close to being up there. Now, I'm gonna go this. I wanted the Spirit Heart. I don't think BFF does a ton for us early, but I don't think it's useless. And oh my god, we got the second secret room as well, and it contained an Eternal Heart. What a glorious circumstance. All right, feeling pretty solid here. 8 rate of fire, 5.8 damage, piercing shots, luck upgrade. Sprinkler is a really fun spacebar item. I do have to say, as we begin the episode today, congratulations to the St. Louis Blues. Won their first Stanley Cup in NHL history. I don't expect any Blues to be watching this. Congratulations, St. Louis Blues fans. It's how it feels when your team's not involved. You're not as invested, right? This is really, the NHL season for me has felt like it should have been over for like 2.5 months. To be honest, it probably, like, you know, from a Vancouver Canucks fan perspective, it was pretty much over like around the start of March. So you get an extended off season, basically. Not that I'm complaining. You know, the team is, you got to rebuild, and they're, you know, hopefully the sun's peeking out over the horizon of the rebuild so far. But I just wanted to take a moment and say, hey, y'all have never won Stanley Cup championship. Congratulations. And if you're from Boston, my condolences, sincerely. It's just sports at the end of the day. But also get over it. You won one in 2011. You went to the Cup Finals in 2013. You won several in the 1970s. Moreover, your city won the World Series and the Super Bowl this year. Yeah, other sports fans they've been asking me to talk to you because they don't have the confidence to do so. But you guys, I see you in the NBA threads. Man, too bad the Celtics are garbage. Come on. First off, they're not garbage. They made the playoffs. You know, my team hasn't made the playoffs since, I mean, I don't watch basketball. But my, you know, preferred sports team hasn't made the playoffs since 2014, 2015. You know, that season. So it's bad. We're going on... Basically, if they don't make it this year, it'll be 5 years without the playoffs. That's half a decade. I know you probably didn't need me to add in that signifier there, but it just makes you sound... You know, I see it sometimes, and he knows he's guilty of this, and he would probably take issue with what I'm about to say, but Austin does it all the time. You know, this year his team didn't make the playoffs, so he's absent guilt for this, but sometimes, you know, Pittsburgh Steelers, arguably probably the second most successful NFL franchise over the course of the past like 10 or 15 years. My team sucks. They only won their division and the first round of the playoffs, only to lose to the team that eventually won the Super Bowl. Man, this blows. It still does blow. Like, you know, a lot of being a sports fan is not misery, because again, you got to keep it in perspective. It's just sports, brother. It's not just sports, okay? This feels like a particularly long off season, you know? It's hard to believe that we're still in the same postseason really as that Reddit relationships post from the woman whose boyfriend smashed her TV after the Tampa Bay Lightning got swept. It's been a long road. I'm just saying, you know, and then maybe, your team hasn't made the playoffs in 5 years. Well, I cheer for the Carolina Hurricanes. We didn't make it for 10 years until this year. Yeah, well, I cheer for the Buffalo Sabres. We perpetually have stunk for the past decade. Fair enough, dude. I mean, it's not a contest. I mean, it is a contest, but it's not a contest. Hey. But now, St. Louis, you're out of the contest. Now you can start becoming insufferable like Chicago sports fans were for a while. And then, you know, they were like, the Blackhawks have won the Stanley Cup. It's been, 45 years since it's happened. And then next year they lost. and then the next year they won, and then the next year they lost, and man, it's been over a full calendar year since our team hoisted the Stanley Cup. This is ridiculous. Anyway, that's sorry for the extended sports bit. I don't have any real, like, video game related bits to hit you with. It's been E3, it's been quiet. I've been playing Tarkov, thanks for the support on the Tarkov stuff. It's a very fun game to play. And Team Unity Tuesday this week went so much better than Team Unity Tuesday last week. Last week I was of the opinion that, you know, maybe Tarkov just can't work as a 4-player game. Now there's something, undoubtedly there's like a little nugget of truth. You have to consciously work at your communication, because if you haven't played Tarkov, imagine something like PUBG, but you don't have any indicator over anybody's head to tell you if they're on your team. Teaming is allowed. You can squad up in the menus, but because it's like it's not hyper realistic, you know, in the same way that, I don't know, some games are like, you didn't get enough potassium in the past calendar week, so you're dead. Like Scum, sort of. Scum has its own unrealistic elements, but, you know, in that particular area. But because it plays up realism, at least to a degree more hardcore than most games. Not all, I mean, there's always your armas and stuff, but you gotta constantly be like, is that you? Is that you? And then some, you know, we get armbands, which are very helpful. Sometimes, you know, somebody puts on a new piece of loot and you're like, your brain's like, I've never seen this person before. Basically, with one person, you're hunky-dory. If you see somebody, they're a target. With two people, as long as you know, stay close to whoever you're with or communicate with whoever you're with, you're fine. You know, you're unlikely to shoot them. With 3 people, the occasional mishap does happen. With 4 people, it's just that much harder, right? But, you know, we renewed our vow of communication as Team Unity members. I thought the stream went much better and the solo stuff's fun. If you're watching the solo stuff, thank you. If you're not watching the solo stuff, I'm going to pitch you. I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot of it, I think, necessarily, but I'm going to pitch you. It's the closest I've felt to a game capturing the magic of the DayZ mod that I've experienced since I stopped playing the DayZ mod. Way back like 7 years ago. It's not the same experience as DayZ. They're different games. Fairly similar in some ways. You know, there are human players, but there's also AI fodder that are occasionally dangerous if you get overwhelmed, but for the most part, pretty much just there to be destroyed. But the tension and the unexpected, like, you know, everything's fine, all of a sudden, you know, 3 players are dead. You know, that's sort of like that pot that's almost boiling over and the lid's going, you know, that, keeping that atmosphere maintained is pretty similar in that regard. Yo, don't mind if I do. So that's my pitch there. It's been fun. Pokemon Go, as always. I don't, you know, as always lately at least, I don't have anything to report with respect to Pokemon Go. Just a lot of, you know, just playing it casually, walking around now and then. And I've gotten to the point where I'm not a liability in raids. Like, the first few raids I did in that game, Kate was like, join up and then just dodge. Just dodge forehead, just dodge lull. There's not a whole lot of nuance in Pokemon Go. It's not a very strategic game beyond, you know, I'm raiding against this Pokemon, so I'm going to take a Pokemon of this type. But, you know, you can kind of swipe and avoid attacks a little bit. The PvP is not where you would want it to be for something to hold your attention in that regard. But now I can at least, like, I'm like Ralph Wiggum. Like, I put in, all these raids are against Cresselia, which is like a psychic type Pokemon. So I have like 2 Snorlaxes that have a move that's strong against Cresselia. I just pop them in there and I'm like, I'm helping. Meanwhile, everyone else, like, I had level 40, 3,500 power Tyrannitars. They're like, who brought the Snorlax? Hey, whoever brought the Snorlax is getting ready for a butt kicking. And I'm like, yeah. What kind of maroon would bring a Snorlax to take on a Cresselia? I mean, clearly Tyranitar with the Bite plus Hyper Beam moveset, the DPS is unparalleled. Especially if the Cresselia has Moonblast. And then they're like, this guy's laying it on a little too thick. Did somebody lose their grandfather? I still like, though, if I wanted to make friends, I think this would be a good time in my life to do so. Because when we're doing these Pokemon Go raids, people just come over and they're like, hey, you doing the raid? And then I feel bad, like, they're not rude people. And nor am I a rude person, believe it or not. But oftentimes, it'll be like me, Kate, and another, like, mutual friend of ours. And we'll be, like, in a conversation. And they'll try to be nice, like, very nicely, like, make conversation like normal people. And I'll, like, converse, but they're also not getting a whole lot. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm holding out my hand like, hey, Buster, my name's Ryan, and you are? Oh, nice firm handshake there, Slugger. You know, it's kind of... It's more just like, you know... Oh, you have a Mewtwo? Cool. I don't have a Mewtwo. I just started playing the game. And I go, oh, that's cool. And then we just sort of tap on our phones together, and then, you know, 9 months later, that's how you were born. It's not the... It sounds really bad. We're conditioned, and I think it's good. You know, you go to kindergarten, you go to daycare, whatever. Make friends. Make friends. It's always nice to make friends. It's not that I'm full. It's that I'm just working on myself right now, okay? I have friends. I have a hard time already. And I'm not like, I don't know, I have friends busting out the seams, you know? I'm not trying to, oh, I'm so popular, I can't respond to all my friends' messages. It's more that I just, like, I have a bad habit of not responding to my friends' messages, which is not really any better. But they'll, like... They know, by the way, it doesn't really absolve me of this, but they're like, yeah, Ryan's kind of flaky with the whole messages thing. You gotta hit him up 2 or 3 times if you really want an answer. Sometimes it's even stuff like I really want to respond to. But then I'm like, I'll get to it later, and then I never get to it, and it's like, I don't think I'm in a position to be a good friend right now. So I've taken myself off of the friendship market. Of course, you never know if the right thing comes along. You know, you wouldn't say no to having a new best friend. However, or another best friend, let me say. But you know, it's not actively on my radar right now. Did we find our item room here? Did we find it and it was not good? Because I'm like ready to leave. Help. I'm like Matthew Broderick in The Cable Guy, except like not everybody is Jim Carrey in The Cable Guy. I might have already found the item. Maybe it was RoboBaby 2.0. I don't know, dude. That's why I get this. You give me this curse right here. I don't know where the heck I'm supposed to freaking go. It could be anywhere at this point. Definitely been that way. I loved it. You know, Isaac, I hate to say it, okay, but you're like an exchange student coming into like our 10th grade English class. We had an established social order with Isaac at the top, and you know, Jerry was the cool guy. Oh, Jerry's handsome and he can do a pop shove it on his skateboard. And then all of a sudden we have Emmanuel. Oh, Emmanuel from Paris has come into class and he's shaking up the social order. All the girls like him because he's got a cute accent, and all the boys think he's cool because he's got all these, you know, stories from Europe. And all of a sudden Jerry's left in the lurch. All of Jerry's faults and flaws and laziness is coming to the forefront. And Isaac, when you give me this curse, you know what the first thing that pops into my head is? I'm sorry to say it, Jerry. Gungeon doesn't give me a curse like this. Gungeon lets me see the map at all times. In fact, when Gungeon comes over, it lets me teleport to several rooms on the map. And I can have ice cream for dinner. Yeah, well, good for Gungeon, but that's not going to be good for your potassium content. And you know what? The funky thing is, you might think that that's me saying that Isaac is worse than Gungeon. That's not the case. All I'm saying is that Isaac is Jerry in that analogy. You know what? You put Jerry in that Parisian English class, all of a sudden people are like, oh, Monsieur Jerry, when did you get so good at English? And he's like, I was born in America. Tell us some more stories from America, Sir Jerry. Mon petit amour. And Emmanuel is like, well, I got them all of the patisseries from the boulangerie, and yet they all love Jerry. Woe is me. you know, is sometimes it's just a little newness in the environment. You know, hopefully it makes both Emmanuel and Jerry better, you know? Hopefully, Gungeon, you know, definitely has taken influence from other games in the genre and, you know, taken what it needs and made itself better as a result. Hopefully there's some quality of life changes in the Isaac DLC. Obviously, like, I keep downplaying it almost, and it's not intentional. It's not like I'm like, more Isaac, wham, you know? Because, like, if you don't have any experience with Anti-Birth, or... Yeah, no, it is Anti-Birth, right? I get my births confused in this game. It's a transformative mod. You know, new characters who are more divergent from base characters than just like, this one's blue, you know? And then on top of that, like whole new paths, and I'm assuming that... We probably could have re-rolled there, but we are working towards Spun as well. I'm assuming that they're going to implement a lot of that stuff, and I'm assuming that the DLC is basically... you know, an actually implemented Anti-Birth plus other content. I don't know if they can say it, which is not really a fair thing for me to say, because they might not be saying it because that's not what it is. Or they might not be saying it because it would be weird, but either way, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be, you know, very transformative. The most transformative piece of Isaac, you know, DLC over the course of the past 2-3 years, maybe, probably. But, yeah, like, hopefully, you know, they've taken inspiration from maybe a couple other games in the genre. I don't think that means specifically they would remove the curse that bothers me so much, even though it's such a minor thing every time, but the man can dream. Wah, I'm the angry gamer. I don't get what I want. That's my impression of me. And also my impression of a lot of other gamers. There was nothing I could do, dude. Wow, I'm so unlucky. I feel the same way when I play games I'm actually good at. I think that's why I don't get that salty during games, is because I'm actually just not talented at them anymore, if I ever was. You might be like, you never were. Guess what, buddy? Yeah, why not? Guess what, buddy? You didn't know me back in my teenage years, unless you're like Malf and you're watching this. But I used to be top of the lobby. In my 20s, I lost a lot, but I like to think I just diverted the pipes more towards the banter, you know what I mean? If I were a boss, I mean, I think it just has to be either left up or straight down. Straight down's a little longer, so I think we got a great path here. You know, Austin is no mistake. Out of Team Unity, Austin gets the saltiest at games. I think he gets the saltiest, though, because he also... Well, there's two things that are very justifiable. One of which is that he's the best, so bad results probably affect him more. The other one is that he's the best, so when he plays with Team Unity, it probably brings him down. And as a result, he's like... I guarantee, and this is not a selfish thought necessarily, but I guarantee like several times a week... through that guy's head when we're doing Team Unity, he's like, man, if I just like wasn't playing with them, I'd be winning more right now. But would you be laughing as hard? Maybe yes, maybe no. Anyway, like, because if there's games that I'm good at, I am also prone to getting salty as well. Like, I was pretty good at that Roller Champions game, at least by like complete newbie standards. There it is. And by the like, I had one game where I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Go easy on me, guys. And then the next game, I like scored a couple of goals, and immediately I was like, man, I wish just for once I could get teammates who know what they're doing. Like, how hard is it? You just skate around, dodge this guy, pass me the ball. I do a little flip off the sidewall here. I pass the ball back to you, you know. When you're always bad, and this is Josh's secret to happy video game life, I think. When you're always bad at video games, it's a lot easier to not get upset. That's one of the reasons I really like Tarkov, and I thought it was one of the reasons I was going to hate it, but I've said it a couple of times, but it bears repeating. At first, I saw it as an unhealthy compromise. That in, you know, games like PUBG, everybody's a player. In Tarkov, they fill the maps with, you know, I mean, like, roughly Probably like 2/3 AI, 1/3 players. Then I realized, dude, that rules, because now I can actually get kills. And I think being able to have, honestly, having the confidence that the avatar I'm fighting against is actually AI, I think has made me better at fighting players. Because now I don't get, like, fear. I'm not like, oh, dude, it's Shroud. Instead, I'm like, oh, it's probably just a scav. And, you know, stay calm, pop him, and then when you open up his pack, you're like, oh my god. This guy was a real human being. He had a dog tag and everything. Dog tag. Living in a movie. Hotel. Anyway. I'd say it's been a low-key week. Just hanging out, dude. Enjoying this beautiful summer weather. It's always weird, you know. You know, when Kate and I went to Japan, that kind of like middle/end of May period, it's like when we oftentimes, you know, go away for a bit. It's happened to us a few times in the past. Like when we left Vancouver, we were like, the weather's nice, but you know, could be better. Can't wait for summer to start. We came back and it's like immediately hot. And we're like, summer's almost over. Well, no, it hasn't even really begun yet. But it's like you skip that just enough of the transitional period between weather to just be like, we've missed the whole season. We missed that one beautiful day where you're like, tomorrow's gonna be summer. I don't need your stinking key. Look, if I get to the point, you know how many times I've been down these floors and, I go, oh, my luck stat is really good. I'm the angry gamer again. Then I end up, you know, I get a consumable after every room and it's a freaking red heart. No thank you, sir. Okay, this run is fine, and even though I've lost some HP, keep in mind, when we die, we respawn as Jark Dudis, which means a huge bonus for us. It also means, more importantly perhaps, peace of mind. So I don't have that anxiety in the pit of my stomach that's like the next hit could be the last. Because if we die, we'll respawn as Dark Judas, and everything's hunky-dory. I'm not saying it would be for the best, because I'd rather, you know, wait for the next floor to use that if we have to use it, because, you know, it basically extends our lifetime to lose HP as slowly as possible, but this has been happening a lot lately. And this happens in Gungeon as well, but we started off with a high degree of relative strength, and now we find ourselves just little behind the 8 ball. 7 rate of fire, 5.94 damage, markedly similar to where we were basically after the first deal with the devil. But let's see. Let's get a little better here. You know, the D4, I'm not gonna hate on it. It's an interesting item. We know where we're going, which is very pleasant. Tell you what, let's D4. No transformation. We do have 60 damage. What is this? You're having a laugh. At my expense, you're having a laugh right here. Well, here's the thing. Sure, the D4 is cool. It could reroll us into cool stuff, but we already have a very cool thing. And then on top of that, the sprinkler is just gonna... I don't even know what's gonna happen with this. So, honestly, big ups to that D4. I asked for an item to give us some offense, and the bill was definitely paid. We do have skipping stones that, well, you know the expression as well as I do. Skipping stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's why they always tell you to be careful when you're skipping stones. But every time the stone lands, I think it summons 3 brimstone beams. It's very interesting. This is a wild synergy. It takes a lot, you know. We don't get that many wild synergies anymore. I also like that this guy's like almost never rotating. It's conceivable to dodge. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. That was a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For anything watching, I'll see you next time. See ya!